Thank you very much. I've been looking at some notes from the Cedar Cottage area neighbors, and one of the comments was that there's been quite a number of spot rezonings in this area over the last 5 years. Do we know how many spot rezonings there's been?
So there are approximately 4 new rezonings in the last 5 years or so in response to council's rental housing policies in this area.
Sure. Well, I'm interested in exploring that more because I do take issue with the Housing Vancouver strategy targets, but that's a separate discussion. What would have been allowable on this site with an assembly under normal conditions, under the existing zoning?
The existing RS1A zoning would permit single-family developments up to a height of approximately 31 feet.
Right, and instead we're going up about double that to almost 60 feet, correct?
That's correct, yeah.
Okay, I think one of the key things about this program is really the financial viability of the project. And so the nature of my question there is, have you analyzed, I'm sure you have, but I just still want to hear the answer. You've analyzed the pro forma to determine that that it does add up in terms of giving up the DCL waiver and to the benefit of the city.
Yes, thank you for the question. Yes, real estate staff, as part of the MERP program, do look at the performance for this project and determine that there is no additional lift beyond the moderate income rental units provided, given all the given that there is a DCL waiver and whatnot. It still is just reasonable for the developer.
I'm sure others would have asked this question, but I understand there's large mature street trees in the area. Could you address that?
Yes, thank you. There actually there aren't street trees on this development site per se. The trees there are 4 permit-sized trees on this site. Unfortunately, due to development constraints, they could not be saved. However, a new row of street trees, as well as additional trees on the development site and along the laneway interface, are proposed.
Okay, some more on that? Just
to clarify, there are 2 mature trees, Norway spruce and a shore pine that are being retained at the intersection, just adjacent the intersection of Victoria and Stainsbury.
I had a note that the trees are a significant part of the local heritage and a community amenity, and that's the nature of the question.
Pardon me, could you repeat your question?
Yes, again, on the subject of the trees, that they're a significant part of the local heritage and a community amenity, thus the question.
So we do recognize that there, like as Kevin had mentioned, there are 2 large mature trees at the intersection of Victoria and Stainsbury. Actually, I do want to add a clarifying point. Due to an engineering requirement, as is typical for rezoning applications, an upgraded and widened sidewalk along Stainsbury actually will encroach into the roots of those trees. So unfortunately, they cannot be saved as part of this application. However, we have included conditions in Appendix B of this report to request that the applicant plant new trees as a replacement.
Do I have time for one more?
Got a minute.
Balancing off the loss of community amenity support and the DCL waiver against the additional pressures on the community, the schools, the other, you feel confident that without having any more community amenities supported with this large bump in the local population, it's not going to have an effect?
So there are definitely the benefit here is the moderate income rental units. Staff do recognize that some of the local schools and capacity to community centers they're well used and well solicited. There's a trade-off that is occurring. Nonetheless, it does meet the intent of the MERP policy, and staff do recommend approval of this rezoning application.